When you jump into your car, turn the key, and drive away, you're probably not thinking about the computer controlled fuel injection, or the complex variable speed transmission, or the thousands of other interconnected parts working together to make the car run. All we focus on is the steering wheel and a couple of pedals. Driving a car is an example of abstraction, in that the complex inner workings of the vehicle are hidden from us. We don't need to know how the engine works in order to drive somewhere. Abstraction is all around us, so it can be a useful concept to understand. In this video, we'll explore the concept of abstraction and how by understanding it, we can better understand the world around us. Let's start with a basic definition. Abstraction simplifies complexity by removing detail or by using representations. Abstraction allows us to take something complex and present it in a more manageable and understandable way. An example of this is blueprints as an abstraction of a house. The blueprints represent the house, but they are not the physical house itself. Blueprints simplify the complexity of a real house into easy to interpret diagrams. This abstraction makes it easier for us to understand and think about the house. If we wanted to change the house, it's far more practical to revise a blueprint first than to tear down and rebuild walls in an actual house. In this way, blueprints demonstrate how abstraction can make complex things easier to work with. If we look for it, we can see abstraction everywhere. A coffee machine is an abstraction of the process of making coffee, allowing us to enjoy our favorite drink without needing to know what temperature the water should be or how finely we should grind the beans. A map is an abstraction of physical terrain, allowing us to navigate without needing to memorize every detail of the real landscape. Language is an abstraction of thoughts, allowing us to communicate complex concepts through simple sounds and symbols. Even the concept of time is an abstraction, allowing us to organize our lives and coordinate with others without constantly having to refer to the position of the sun. Abstract art is a great way to think about abstraction more broadly. Pablo Picasso's famous artwork, The Bull, demonstrates this beautifully. Picasso starts with a detailed, realistic bull. Over a series of sketches, he strips away some detail, leaving only the essential lines and shapes. By the end, the bull is reduced to a few simple curves, yet we still recognize it as a bull because the essentials remain. Even in this most abstract form, the bull retains its horns. Without them, the concept of a bull would be lost. Abstract art demonstrates how in abstraction, the unnecessary can be removed, but the essential must remain. Just as Picasso's bull exists with varying levels of detail, we can abstract anything to varying conceptual degrees. Let's explore this with an example. Say we have a flower, the actual real flower. We can touch it and smell it. At this level, there is no abstraction. We're dealing with the real thing. A level of abstraction beyond this might be a photo of our flower. It's no longer our actual flower, but the photo is still a detailed representation of our flower. Abstracting beyond even this, we can use language and verbalize the word flower. At this level of abstraction, we've lost most of the detail of our specific flower, but we can use this abstraction to communicate with others. At the highest level of abstraction, we have the idea of a flower in our minds. There's very little specific detail here because everyone holds different mental representations of a flower. At this level of abstraction, our imagination, we can think about the flower with very few limitations. Abstraction is necessary for a variety of different reasons. Firstly, it simplifies complexity. Often, complexity is irrelevant to us. All we care about is that given a specific input, we receive a predictable output. For example, we don't care to understand how our plumbing works, but when we turn the tap, we expect the water to flow. This simplification of complexity reduces the cognitive load necessary for us to interact with the world. Secondly, abstraction gives us a sandbox in which to plan or explore. Take our house blueprints example. If we wanted to explore different kitchen layouts, we could do this quickly and easily with the blueprints themselves. But this wouldn't be so easy if we were physically rebuilding the kitchen every time. Similarly, using a mental abstraction, our imagination, we can try different kitchen layouts without even having to change the blueprints. Lastly, abstraction leads to standardization. Whether it's language, measurements, or currency, standardizing through abstraction makes communication and cooperation possible. People tend to have a preference for the level of abstraction they interact with. Some people like to work with their hands and interact with physical objects directly, with no abstraction. Other people like to operate at higher levels of abstraction, preferring to work on technical documents or computer models that represent those objects. Others like to operate at an even higher level, preferring to work with ideas and concepts without needing to see or touch the physical manifestations of those ideas. But there is a problem. Sometimes we confuse an abstraction with the real thing. Take education, for example. Grades are meant to represent a student's understanding, but they're just an abstraction. Grades are just a representation of a student's knowledge. This becomes problematic if students study specifically to get good grades, rather than to actually learn the subject matter. They're focusing on the abstraction, not the reality. Consider another example. A person might rely on a map and insist they're on the correct route, even when the environment clearly contradicts the map. Maps do simplify complexity, but they should never take preference over reality itself. We have to remember that abstractions never fully capture the complexity of something, but often they do capture the essential details, which can be enough for us to produce the outcome we desire. In conclusion, abstraction is a powerful tool that helps us navigate a complex world. However, understanding its limitations is crucial. As intelligent thinkers, we need to be mindful of when we're dealing with abstractions and not mistake them for reality. By recognizing this, we enhance our ability to think critically and make more informed decisions. Abstraction, when used properly, sharpens our thinking, allowing us to rise above complexity and gain a clearer understanding of the world around us.